If you could open a world map right now and you choose any continent to move and live in with no restrictions, no visa issues, where will you choose to go? Are you going to choose maybe Europe, Asia, Middle East, or are you going to choose to live in Africa? I don't know where you are going to choose, but I know where you are most likely not going to choose, and it is Africa. And how do I know that? Well, Africa has the highest poverty rate, highest disease rate, the lowest medicine production, highest level of insecurity. So looking at all that, why will you choose to live in Africa if you have the option to choose from birth? And I believe that is why almost every young person that I personally know has thought about living in Africa at the first chance they get. But here is a problem. The number of people who leave Africa and have a better life somewhere else is just a drop compared to the ocean of people trying to live. Let me ask you one important question. Do you think there are people right now living in your country comfortably and economically free? I am sure the answer is yes. And that is why I also know it is most likely going to be a lot easier for you to achieve economic prosperity and to be free, have a better life right where you live than try to live like millions of other people. Just few years ago, I was struggling to achieve to have just 3 meals per day. Even though I had a job, the job pays too little that I couldn't even afford 3 meals a day. And if I based my solution on finding a way to leave the country, then one of two things will most likely have happened. I will either still be struggling trying to find a way to leave the country, or if I succeeded in leaving the country, I will most likely be struggling financially where I went, not having enough to even send back home to take care of my family. See, I don't think you need to be patriotic and say things like, well, I love my country and I will stay to fix my country. I think you really just need to find a way to save yourself right where you live, because that is the most easiest way compared to looking for ways to leave the country. Let me give you one example. If you have enough money, if you make enough money right where you live, you can afford better health care. You can afford to send your children to better schools. You can afford to live in places with better security. So you can fix most of the problems that you are dealing with right now if you find a way to fix your financial situation. See, I think we have some limitations in our mind. For example, if you have higher education, then you only know if you finish, you have your certification, you are going to look for a job. Hopefully, you are going to find a good job. If you don't have higher education, then you are limited to starting a local business or getting a handy job somewhere else. There are so many different ways. If you rely on these ways, you might get a job and you are constantly going to be in debt. Most likely the salary you are going to get is not even going to be enough. Every single month before the end of the month, you are going to be in debt. If you start a business, inflation is going to keep eating away the profit. So you are constantly going to be in the struggle. And that is why even if you have a job, even if you have a business, you are thinking of migrating because that looks like the solution. But I personally believe the best solution is to find a way to earn in a strong currency. That is going to put you ahead of the inflation, and you are automatically going to be ahead of most of the challenges that you are currently facing in your country, except if you are in a country that is at war. Maybe that's something that you really can't do much about. I found my way through freelancing and virtual assistance, but that is not the only way. There are really several ways that you can find financial independence right where you live. You can get a fully remote job. You can do something like YouTube content creation. You can do freelancing or virtual assistance. There are several things you can try, but you will never know what will work for you unless you try. The biggest barrier is instant gratification and not believing in that thing works. I know it's hard. When you start doing anything like this kind of things, you are going to come across a lot of content that is unrealistic, teachers teaching things that are not going to work. You start things with unrealistic expectations, so you give up early. There are so many challenges, but I promise you, trying things out this way is going to be faster for you to achieve financial independence than trying to find a way to migrate to another country. And the way I really look at it is, if enough people in one country, enough people work on figuring things out, enough people work on saving themselves by improving their financial situations, I believe the country is going to change. See, if most people have enough income to afford a the best healthcare there is, then there is going to be a demand for better healthcare. And if there is a demand, there is going to be supply. See, if you can afford to send your children to the best school there is going to be demand for best schools. So you are going to have better education. And that is why I think really if individual people save themselves, we achieve financial independence, and if people achieve financial independence, the situation in the country is going to improve. And that is why really my final advice is, if you are struggling, thinking of migrating to another country, hoping to find a way to move to another country, just focus your energy and all your effort into fixing your financial issues here. When you fix your financial issues here, if you still want to go to another country, then it is going to be a lot easier for you to go anywhere in the world. And I am sure if enough people save themselves this way, then the environment has no choice but to respond. And maybe then we are going to have something to be proud of. Then we can say, I am proud to be an African, I am proud to be Nigerian, things like that, because we have something to actually be proud of. Cheers.